Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Shareece, and I like to inspire people to embrace as much joy and peace as possible. Today, I want to talk about what it's been like for me being an empty nester at 36, like specifically around like motherhood and how I've changed or things have changed, my life has changed since my son moved out. So my son moved out about 2 months ago, right before his 18th birthday. So if you do the math, I was 18 when I had him, and I do not recommend. I do not recommend. I was recently watching Tenica B's channel where she was talking about motherhood, right? I'm looking for other stories of women talking about what it's like for them to be empty nesters when a lot of their peers are not at this point. And she talked about, the blueprint of her life, like she doesn't recommend. Like things worked out for her, but I don't recommend, right? She had her daughter when she was 20. I had my son when I was 18. I don't recommend. Like, yes, things worked out for me. My son is amazing, amazing. When I tell you, you would be so impressed if you met him. But I would not recommend this. So one of the things that I had that I think a lot of people don't have is a loving mother who is Christ centered and a giver. She's also a teacher, so she already loves children. Like she picked a career that she really loves with a schedule that really works for her and her goal of like raising 5 children. And one thing I don't think I talk about enough, perhaps, is money. And I also feel like is important intelligence, right? I'm very smart. My mother is very smart. My parents, right? My father has delusions. So like in my teenage years, he wasn't available, mentally. But they created a foundation of a two-parent household, right? Incomes, and did things with their money that they were, responsible. We're not rich, I promise you. But I grew up like strongly in the middle class, and so having a son didn't mean financial ruin. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't have to work. I've never had to work. I was able to go to school and go to night class when I was, in the university, switch my schedule up during my sophomore year so that I could be available for him. By the time he was 3, I had him in like daycare part time. I think it was like part time. Yeah, part time. When he was 2, I only had him like a few hours, right? A few hours with someone watching him. And then part time when he was 3. And then mostly full time when he was 4. I really didn't want to prepare him for like the routine and a lot of the other kids, like getting used to being around other kids. So I thought it was helpful. It just all felt like a really good fit. I was also more active on campus. My mother gave me just so much support, just so much support. Unpaid, child labor. Like she was always there for me, always helping me. I never felt like like he was a burden, right? I never felt like that. And so it just allowed me to just go out and do normal teenage, like late teenage things, early 20s things. My personality is not really one of partying, so I only had like a semester of partying. But if I wanted to travel, I was able to travel, right? I did a summer research opportunity. I was away from him for months. And then when I decided to go to grad school in the States, I left him with my mother for a number of years, right? 3-4 years, so that she could watch him, right? I was back and forth, and then eventually he was back and forth, and then with me full time. I don't think that's like a common story. I feel like that's important. Like how many I know in the Caribbean, it is a very common story for kids to go live with, a loved one, a family member. That right? Because I'm from the Caribbean. That's a common story. Often there is a lot of trauma that kind of comes along with that. And my son did have like some abandonment concerns, issues that we did have to deal with like in therapy. But overall, there's just so much love to go around. One of the things I think I really talk about also that was just like a big help to me is even though my son's father wasn't exactly the best match per se, like at 18 we're the same age, or he's a year older than me. He wasn't ready to be a husband. He was doing some things that he wasn't supposed to be doing, and he probably I wasn't ready to be a mom either, but I rose to the occasion. He also did in his own way, but lacked, just in the history of the boy's childhood, it lacked in a lot of ways. But one of the things I had hoped for, in terms of like dreams, like I've never dreamed about a wedding, but I think I had like dreams about, I wish I had an extended family. I wish there was more cousins, just more support around me. I wanted that for my child. I wanted my child to have multiples of family members and cousins and all those things. And in that way, I feel like I got lucky because my son's father's family is big, just really big and loving, and was obsessed with my son from the moment that he emerged. I couldn't have asked for a better like I feel like I want to call her my mother-in-law, but she's not. No, we weren't married and we're not together now. But my son's father's mother and my son's grandmother on his father's side, whatever. She's amazing. She's like so giving and so loving, and like we've had to grow in our relationship, but it was super, super important for me to have my son's that side of the family as a part of his life. And relationships take time and energy and work. And so traveling back to the island, making sure we drive over to their house, spend hours over there, making sure we go for the big holidays and events and all those things, like at their house, it's popping, you know what I mean, like real Caribbean thing that's go on over there. And so I just loved having that experience and knowing that I played a really vital role in making sure the relationships my son is able to have now as an adult with other family members is a direct result of my openness and the money I spent and time and energy I spent to make sure that these experiences were happening. So I thoroughly enjoyed that version of motherhood. I like loved it. Oh my gosh. It just, I watching a little human become, right? I'm always curious when there's a little person being born or walking around at 3, like, what is your personality going to be? What are you going to like? What are going to be the things that you're interested in? What is it going to be like having a conversation with you? I'm just so interested and just so moved. And being able to do that, like with my own child in my own house, not easy. I think motherhood is the hardest job in the world. And I loved it. I loved all the challenges, all the teenage, because when they start turning 12, 13, okay, they start, testing you and all those things. I just embraced it because that's really my favorite like age. 3 and then teenage years, like my favorite age. I'm sure I'm gonna thoroughly enjoy my son being an adult now and like our adult, but things are just different now. Now the house is empty. The boy has gone off to college. He's had like so much help and support in that transition because I didn't fly down with him when he went to college. He had his grandmothers on both sides. There's men in the family who are showing up for him, helping him, encouraging him, talking to him, speaking life into him. And so in that sense, I feel like I don't really feel anxious. When he left, I just really felt sad. But the time he was moving out, girl, crying every 2 hours. I probably cried every 2 hours for like 3-4 days. Every two, you understand? I was so sad that this version was leaving me. He's fine, but definitely sad that my little person was not going to be in the same vicinity with me like on a day-to-day basis. I'm not like anxious about his safety now. I was worried before and angry with men because they cause so many problems in this world. I got over that, right? Not great. I don't have any problems. But like I'm not like anxious for mistakes that he's gonna make. Like he's gonna make mistakes. That's like a part of being a young adult. I feel like I've given him all the things that he needs. And so now it's like moving on, like moving on from that. Like I'm now a consultant or like the person you call to share like fun information with. Like, when he calls me, rarely call my son is not like a phone person. And anybody that's ever tried to reach him knows like you're going to be calling. This boy might be sleeping, playing his game, distracted, whatever. He'll call you back eventually. I'm not caught up, or I don't have any like emotional attachment to like the frequency of our calls or texts. I know how he is, and I know he's thinking about me every now and then, but really just living his life. But that distance between us is, a blessing, right? Like you hope that your kids can stand on their own and do their own things and figure out things, especially in the context of a college, which, provides like additional structure. So figuring out like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do with this time now that I don't have to cook for somebody? I was just recently thinking about my diet because I'm making change. I might make a video about health stuff at another time, but I'm not vegan, but I eat a lot of vegan things. Like at this point, maybe like 50% of my meals are vegan. I'm not a fan of chicken. Not like, I don't like cooking chicken. The taste, the texture of chicken is fine, but like It's not, I don't ever like crave chicken. So I haven't been buying chicken. I only bought chicken for my son. I haven't been buying chicken. I haven't really been cooking because I also want to give myself a break from like that cooking, habit, which I had already been doing for like maybe a year. But now he really don't need me to eat. Like he's going, on campus, eating the food and all that stuff. So it's just another one of those little things. Like I don't have to buy chicken. My son is not here to eat the chicken. I don't have to cook chicken. I don't have to buy chicken. It's just like these little differences. Thinking about like, what am I going to do over the holidays? I didn't grow up in a family that celebrated holidays. I acknowledge them a little, just like for fun. We've celebrated Christmas in like a traditional way before, but like I don't care about holidays really. So we never really had a big, routine around that anyway. However, holidays are a great time to spend time with family. And so, even if we didn't do something for the holiday, we still did something together. I don't have to think about him here. He's not here. So it's like another layer of like, I don't have to consider that thing because he's not here. And anything that I want to do, it's really important for me to do it for me and not for him. So like me thinking about visiting back home, it would have to be, I really want to be home versus I want to spend all this time with my son. My son has his own plans, his own goals. I'm sure he would love to see me, but I think he would be okay also if he didn't see me for another, 3 months. You know what I mean? So it's been like really cool to consider the possibilities of like not worrying about a school schedule. Like I don't have to be concerned about what days, he has wrestling or when I'm not going to have to pick him up or what food is there for him to eat at the house or how much money, there's just like a mind shift of, I don't know, it's like the mom brain being turned off, like tuned down to like 20%. Because yeah, he needs money, but it's different. Yeah, he needs things, but he's also in close proximity to people who can get him those things. It's just different. It's just different. I'm still getting used to it. It's only been a couple of months. I haven't traveled. Well, I have traveled, actually. I have traveled, but I haven't traveled out of the country yet. And the last time I traveled outside of the country, it wasn't for that long. I think it was like, was it Costa Rica? I think it was when I went to Costa Rica for a week, that I had my sister check on him versus the time before that. Because right, that was him being 17. The time before that, one of my sisters flew from Hawaii to come stay with him. Now I don't have to consider childcare or supervision. And yeah, it's just different. And I'm excited. I'm excited. So yeah, it's also like really mind blowing to watch newborns, like watch a little human come into the world now, considering I just helped one fly out of the nest. It's, I don't know. Babies are born every day, but seeing it in front of you so close, I'm just, my mind is still blown at motherhood. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I had a child. I'm so grateful that I really got to enjoy the motherhood experience, and that now it's just changing in a different way. And I think often about how this has been done many, many times before, not just by my mother who had 5 children who grew up and left the house, but by mothers on and on and on and on, that this is just a thing that happens. It's just a thing that happens. And it's nice to, now be paying attention to it now that it's happened to me. But it's just something I really hadn't considered would be difficult or would open me up in a new way, in a different, right? This is like a thing I've never experienced before. I didn't know what I thought it was going to be, but this is not what I thought it was going to be. It's illuminating just for myself, but I'm taking it in stride. I'm definitely, I haven't cried in, well, I did cry last week. I did cry last week about him, but I didn't remember why. I think I was just staring at his picture too long. That probably was what it was. And sending him a box, and maybe all the things together just had me like, oh my God, my little human is an adult man now. That is insane. Anyway, yeah. So I'll be, reminiscing about motherhood for a while, making maybe more. I have to just process this in a way, and I have a channel to do that. So more empty nester content. Cause what? most people my age still have like 4 or 5 year olds, right? Like a lot of people do had multiples. I only had one. So some people maybe their first has gone off, but then they still have like two at home or something. Um, Otherwise, what would the age be? 10? Maybe like y'all have like 10-year-olds or something. I have an 18-year-old and he's great. So let me know what you think in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And thank you for watching.